continue now with the Pigskin preview. Right now we go over to the Big Northern West, and with me I have head coach from Oregon, John Bothe. They went 6-5 last year, and they opened their season this year against Johnsburg. Good to have you on today, Coach. Are you looking forward to this football season in the Big Northern West?
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it again. You know, I think it's looks like it's shaping up as another great year, another real balance here in the Big Northern with a lot of good teams.
You know, when you look at the Big Northern West anymore, it just seems like you got to win about every game just to get those 5 wins, because it's got a lot of qualifiers anymore that move on to the playoffs.
Yeah, it does. I mean, you can kind of count on at least half the teams or more, you know, on both sides making the playoffs. And you know, we've said this for a few years now. You can't have a week off. You know, it's not a conference where there's, you know, you can count on 2 or 3 teams rebuilding or struggling every year that you can get by. There's just no week that you can afford to be banged up or not playing at your best.
And then a school like Byron comes in and almost makes it to the state finals and stuff like that. You guys really just, like you said, you just can't take it easy. And you guys had a 2-game playoff run last year.
Yeah, we've always said, a lot of the coaches, you know, have said, and you guys have observed this too, that typically if you can do well enough out of the Big Northern West to qualify for the playoffs, you can usually do pretty well in the playoffs depending on your matchups. And I think Byron's a real good example of that because they were a 5-4 team. You know, they had to win a couple close games just to get themselves in, and then they get it on a semifinal run, you know, in the playoffs. And the same thing. I mean, we had to win 3 in a row, I believe, to qualify for the playoffs, yet we're able to get in and win a playoff game. So, you know, if you can survive, and if you can do well enough during the regular season, I think Northern, usually you're a pretty well-prepared team.
How does that run last year help you out and also getting to play 2 playoff games as you get ready for this season, Coach?
It really meant a lot to us because, you know, obviously doing the math there, we were 2-4 at one point and had some, you know, to go down to Mendota, who was a playoff qualifier, 6-3 team that year, and we had to win a game at Mendota just to stay alive. So to be able to string together, you know, the last 3 games to get in and the first playoff game really meant a lot because otherwise, you know, we're finishing at 2-7, 3-6, trying to look for answers. So I think it did quite a bit for confidence, and I'm sure you've already served with playoff teams. The extra weeks of practice and the extra competition really help, you know, your younger players get ready for the next year.
Let's take a look at your offense. Who are you counting on this year? Who'd you lose? And what's it going to take for that offense to be good this year in the Big Northern West? We
actually have quite a few skill players returning. It's uncommon for us. Usually we're real senior loaded there, but our quarterback, Jerry Gorstead, is back after starting last year, and he has a good skill set for us running our offense and being able to do some other things. 3 running backs, our fullback, John Ghibellini, our halfback, Brayton Finch, and our wingback, Maverick Good. They are all back. They either started or split time last year and got carries and a lot of experience on offense. So that's kind of our reference point. We have a couple of linemen that got some experience last year in the offensive line. Probably the biggest key for us is going to be at the end positions. You know, we run a 2 tight end set. Mm-hmm. We don't have a lot of experience coming back in those spots, so we're either going to have some people step up or move some people around to do well there, and that's going to be a real key. You know, in our offense, we need good tight ends that can block, and then when they get the chance to get some catches, they mean a lot to us. So that's kind of our biggest area that needs to come through.
Defensively, what's it going to take for Oregon? I mean, you play some pretty high-powered teams anymore, especially when you face a Lutheran and teams like that.
Yeah, it's really tough. You know, with the teams that run the spread system, you know, and get you out on space with very good athletes, it's difficult. The thing that we hope can come through for us is we have several players from what we call the second and third levels of the defense, the linebacker level and the secondary level that are back for us. And some of the same names. Jared Gorstead was a corner last year. Maverick Good and Brayton Finch were strong safeties last year. You know, I mentioned them on offense. John Ghibellini at linebacker. But we also have a couple defensive linemen. Anthony Marchetti started for us the whole year as a sophomore last year. He's going to be a junior. He's back in the defensive line. And then a couple of Matthew Stevens and Matthew Crandall both played a lot in the defensive line last year as juniors, and they're back. So Actually, even though not all of them are starters, we're bringing back several players who have some defensive experience, and we're able to go against those high-powered offenses that you're mentioning. So hopefully we have some carryover there.
Are you going to have a lot of kids playing both ways? I mean, I think the 2-platoon for high school is almost a thing of the past anymore.
Yeah, we'll have several, that go both ways. What we try and do as much as we can, we've done this for years, is get some sort of rotation where they play all the time on one side of the ball, but then we rotate them out to get some breaks once in a while. I mentioned a set of backs, starting running backs. We always want to have two guys at every position that we can put in at any time and carry the ball. So it's not uncommon for some of those names I mentioned to be starters, full-timers on defense, and then hopefully get their break on offense. And then same thing with the linemen. We try and figure out if a kid's going both ways, where is he most valuable to us, and we kind of lock him in there. And then on the other side of the ball, we try and give them as much break as possible. And that's, a common thing at our level.
And special teams, I don't know how many games I've been to in my lifetime, but special teams can break you or make you. And in your conference, it can usually break you if you don't have a good one.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, too, is you either got to be really good or have a real good strategy about special teams, Like last year, we didn't have, necessarily great kickers, great punters, great returners, and that kind of stuff. But I think our kids played really smart on special teams. A lot of the same athletes that you talk about when you cover the Big Northern, they're kick returners also on their special teams. So, it'd be foolish for us to kick to those people. So we do as much as we can to try and stay away from keeping the ball away from, the top athletes, trying to cover the best we can. And honestly, at our level, special teams, a lot of it depends on the kicker. If you're very good at kicker and very good at punter, you have a chance to build around them and have solid special teams. If you're not, then you've got to be really careful and really wise on how you use your special teams. You're going to kick the people or not. Can you kick extra points when you punt? Are you going to punt away, and cover it, or are you going to kick to the sideline? Those types of things. So that being said, I think we're a little better. I think we just have a little bit more coverage-type personnel this year on special teams than we did last year. And Brayton Finch did a lot of our punting and kicking, and he's back as senior with a little more experience and I think a little more range possibly. So I'd like to think that we'll be, as good or a little bit better on special teams.
Last year you qualified, Byron qualified for the playoffs. What's it going to be like this year in the Big Northern West? How is things looking team by team, or how you see it this year for you guys to do well?
I think similar to the way things ended up. Obviously, I think Lutheran's a standard still. They were dominant last year. I think they're going to be very good. I think they're clearly the favorite. They're a threat to run the table. Again this year, I think you can say that. I do think there's a chance that some teams might play them a little closer than they did last year. I mean, I think there's times when some teams went into games with Lutheran thinking they could play with them. Maybe didn't always make the best decisions, strategy-wise with them, and Lutheran got on a roll, and it was over before halftime. So I think that people are going to be some teams will be a little better prepared for Lutheran, but I think they're going to be really good on both sides of the ball. I mean, offensively, obviously, with the running back. I mean, offensively they're great, but defensively, so much of their resurgence the last couple of years has been on the defensive side of the ball. I know Byron has high hopes, and rightfully so. They have a lot of kids in the backfield who have experience coming back. They're humongous up front. I mean, they're the biggest team in the conference on both sides of the ball. It makes it really difficult to play against them. I'm sure they're looking for a big year. Stillman Valley obviously scares everybody because it was a very untypical Stillman Valley year, and they're going to be back with a vengeance.
Yeah.
And I think that's the team that's going to explode. They'll probably make the biggest move. I think Winnebago is going to be improved, over last year. So those four I think are going to be standouts. Dixon and Mendota sound like they lose quite a bit of skill position players. I think Dixon might hang on a little better than Mendota with returners, and Dixon still, for years of playing in a bigger conference is going to carry over. And, I think Rock Falls is going to be improved. I mean, I think they got a ways to go, but I think they're going to be better organized and improve a lot too. So that's kind of where your contenders still out right now.
You know, you have two crossover games. I think this is the last year for crossover games because of the new league setup. You got Johnsburg and North Boone. How important is it going to be for you guys to really play well in those two games?
Well, you need to. I mean, you need to get off to a good start. You know, you like to. Every team wants to get at least one of those as wins, or both of them if they can. That's easier said than done. I mean, Johnsburg, I think we kind of ambushed last year. We were able to beat them last year, and then they went on a 9-game run after that. You know, I think we just kind of caught them at the right time in the right game. You got to go up there, and they've got a lot of confidence after what they did. And North Boone's bringing a lot back. I mean, I think North Boone's going to be one of the players on that side of the conference on the Big Northern East. So we need to play well. We need to be ready to go and healthy going against both those teams, you know, that to be able to compete with them and play our best. You know, we can't, I guess, early in the year against those two, we've got to have all our things ready to go and can't be holding back and expect to just slowly develop as the year goes on. We're going to be challenged right away.
You know, down the road, you'll have to look for some replacement games. Are you guys working on that already? I know you're going to have to play them on an off week or something, maybe, to crossover.
You know, I believe, if I got this right, that for Winnebago, Byron, and Oregon, is the smallest of the remaining Big Northern teams, we won't have to cross over with the other side.
Okay.
I believe week 1 is a non-conference that we just at our discretion. And then weeks 2 through 9 for us will be conference games.
Okay.
So we do have a week 1 non-conference game for the next 2 years after that. So I think we're booked through 2017. And actually the non-conference opened up because of North Boone. The conference change affected North Boone. They always play this Clinton, Wisconsin team.
Yes.
And because next year the schedule's changing for North Boone and everybody else, we're able to pick them up because North Boone can't play them anymore.
So you got Clinton, Wisconsin then?
Yeah, for 16 and 17, yeah.
Good.
And that's, you know, comparable. They played North Boone for years. I'm sure those two teams would still play if they could.
Yeah.
So we're fortunate that way. I mean, they're going to be a good program, a tough team, but at least we're not driving, you know, several hours away or playing a team with a great enrollment difference or anything like that.
Well, Coach, thanks so much for taking time out today, and we look forward to watching Oregon this year. And you guys keep a head up and get ready to go this year, and good luck.
All right. Thank you very much.
We've been talking to Oregon head football coach John Bothe. For the Pigskin Preview, I'm Dave Schmidt.